Hey everybody!
Hey! Welcome to the fourth episode of the Mr.Prototype and Company podcast, where we're going to discuss everything about making products, prototyping, and much more. Today we're going to go a little bit different. We're going to talk about patents. But we don't have any legal advice, we are not lawyers, so we want to bring it from our approach.
Yeah, and protection in general, it also means utility models, confidentiality, all those kind of things. The reason we want to talk about it is because it's our daily business. We see it a lot. Nearly all of our clients have either a utility model or a patent. We have a confidentiality clause with everybody that we work with. So, in general, it's our daily life. And we see a lot of things that are good, but could have been better as well. And that's what we want to talk about. Not from a legal point of view what could be better, because that's the task of the patent lawyers, and which type of protection to choose, when to choose it. We don't want to talk about that. What we want to talk about is what can you do to make the protection that you want to do as strong as possible from the point of view of innovation.
It needs to be effective, both for protecting you but also economically, because what we're going to discuss is how to avoid needing to rewrite patents or make changes and those kind of things. Basically, let's start with the beginning. We have mostly clients that already have a patent or a utility model. And we go through the patent, we read it, and we need to evaluate if that is makeable. And surprisingly, not always.
Very often, what we notice is that the idea might work, but the way they've described it in their protection doesn't work. What you need to know about that is that if you change the way it works, you're no longer protected. That happens a lot. That happens
Quite often.
That,
for developing the project, we need to warn the clients that, hey, if we do this to make it work, you might not recover.
Yeah. Usually the answer is like, yeah, just make it work. It doesn't matter, but it does matter.
I mean, you have options. You can always ask to edit your patent or your utility model within the first year. But if it is after, your only option is to do another one, which is again fees and time.
And maybe that original utility model or patent becomes a very expensive piece of paper. And that's sad.
Yeah, because I don't know if you know it, but both of them, at least here in Spain, you need to pay every year to keep it. Because when you make a patent or utility model or whatever is in your country, that becomes public. People can access, I will leave you the links if you want to explore. You can access there and have a look to what is out there. So it's public, people can check it. The difference is that they can't use it. That's what the patent or utility model is for. Both cover you the same level. The difference is the level of innovation that they have, and that the patent lasts 20 years and the utility model 10.
Yeah, one thing to add there is that the big difference between a patent and a utility model is that you have to prove that nobody else has done it for a patent. You have to pay for an investigation that proves that nobody else has done it by an independent patent researcher, which is very costly. For a utility model, which exists in Spain and some other countries, you don't have to do that.
You can mention it, like yes, I mean it's nice if you mention the other patents or utility models that are solving the same problem or are close, and how it's not the same. It's not necessarily technically, I think, but it's nice. And again, we're going to legal terms, so remember, we're not lawyers.
But in our opinion, the best way to start is with confidentiality. Talk with people that you trust, being companies that do this kind of stuff all the time. Like if you work with a company like ours, and any good company should have this in their standard terms, there is confidentiality in the agreement.
Yeah, I mean, we may not send you the confidentiality agreement in the first call, unless you request for it. We take it for granted.
Yeah, we don't talk about clients' projects. We
That's why maybe
very,
the website is sad.
yeah, we're very sparing with what we talk about because there is a trust necessary there. You need to be able to talk about your idea freely, and we need to be able to brainstorm about it to maybe get your idea refined before going to that patent stage. And you can't do that without confidentiality. But that is standard for us. If you do confidentiality and working on testing if things work and brainstorming how you could actually make it before you start working on the patent, that actually has a number of advantages. The main one, in my opinion, is the little details that are needed to make it work. From our experience, patents work more on details than on ideas. People want to protect their idea, their baby, they want to make sure that it's safe. But most ideas are actually shared by a lot of people. So the general idea will probably have very similar patents or prior art existing. What that means is that you can no longer protect the general ideas. That's why you have claims in patents, and they go more and more and more detailed. When you work on making a solution for making your idea actually functioning, you will get those little details that make your product special. And mainly, if you do an analysis of how could this work, what brainstorming is, you go very wide and you analyze all kinds of different ways that you could make it work.
Which some of them might be easier, some of them might be cheaper.
Yeah.
There are always options.
Basically, you can see like, okay, there's maybe 5 ways to do it, but this one is significantly cheaper and that will give me the competitive advantage. So what I will do is I will patent that one, or I will describe all of them in my patent. Also
yeah, you normally should do that. That this is the preferred method of solving this problem, but there
you can
are
also
other
do it in
ways.
this way. Yeah. And with that information, you will have a stronger case if somebody copies, because when they copy and you have that little nugget of information, they will have to do that as well. If it is truly necessary, critical to the functioning of your device, they will have to do something similar. Too similar to not be an infringement on your patent. And then you have a strong patent. If you only have a high-level idea description and not a detailed functioning, you might still be able to make a claim, but you have way less strength in your language. Because you don't have like the red flag or like there, that's where I caught you. If you have that little number of like, this is what you did wrong, that's where I caught you, you have it.
To put it maybe more clear, when we talk about a specific idea, well, the general idea is when you describe the function. Like I made an invention that will help you doing X. What we're talking about is protecting the how are you gonna help doing X. It's protecting the how, not the what. There you go. Do you think of it?
There is also a bunch of other things that is beneficial if you start doing the two in parallel, protecting your patent and doing brainstorming and validation. One of them is, like we said, the brainstorming generates ideas on how it could work, and all of those ideas can directly be transferred to the patent.
Yep. Another one that is actually maybe more important is that not everything works. It's very easy to think that it is very easy to say that something is going to work on paper. It might sound like, yes, that can work, but then if you make it, might not work. And that is sad to tell to our clients. It's literally, we all really use the analogy of baby. We really need to kill the baby of some people. It sounds weird, but we need to do it.
Yeah, it's a difficult position to be in for us, because these people have invested in their idea. You're excited that it's going to work, you've got the protection, you're fine, it's going to be the greatest thing ever, and then we come around and say, hey, it doesn't work. But that's rather rare, that it's completely not working.
Major changes happen.
Major changes happen often, but completely not working is rather rare. That is something you can prevent if you start working in parallel. If you do brainstorming and basic validation at the same time as you do patenting, you don't need to do the whole prototyping process yet. That's not required.
No, it's just a basic thing for checking. You can check our previous episodes about types of prototyping. I will also leave a link somewhere, and we explain there that you have different levels of prototyping. You might not need to go to the finest, everything is solved prototype. You can just do a proof of concept.
Yeah. And on top of that, patents need a bunch of details. They need drawings, they need those claims, they need an explanation of how it works. All of those things, you get them from making that brainstorming, that basic validation prototype. So essentially, you can lower your patent costs by having that done.
Yeah, mostly it's the long-term patent cost that you are lowering by doing this. Because again, any of these major changes that we are mentioning can make you need to redo parts, and you will have fees and everything. So you're saving money in the end. You do it from the beginning.
And you will have a stronger patent.
Definitely.
And the reason we also really want to encourage this is because it makes it easier for us. In all honesty, it makes life easier for us. Because if we can work in all freedom, and we're not boxed in by a patent that we need to follow follow strictly, then we can actually make the best solution. What happens if we need to work within a patent is that we are limited in the type of solution we can make.
Or we go out. Which also happens, and is most of the times, oh well, do that.
Yeah, but when you go out of the utility model or patent, you're no longer protected.
Yeah. Which again is frustrating.
Yes. But it's what it is.
So, in a nutshell, the sooner you start prototyping and making the patent, the better.
Especially try to do them together if you can. We're not going to write the text for you. That's not our job.
No. I mean, we don't mind reading or checking. We have done it. Checking how it is looking, if there is something that might be better in other ways.
We've seen some good patents and we've seen some bad patents.
Yeah. I have an easy way to say for us if it is a good or bad is how easily can you go around. And it's sometimes a game that you can play if you are with other people. Like, you can do it yourself because you don't see it, I think, but if you play with somebody else and you give the patent and you ask, hey, figure out a way to go around, they might find ways.
If you want to know how good of a job your patent lawyer did, ask us to do that.
Well, with all our love and our appreciation to patent lawyers out there.
It's a hard job. It's a hard job because the idea is very fuzzy, typically. And if you don't have those details as a patent lawyer, you can't describe it in any more detail because there is no detail.
Actually, I guess that they will be happier if there is a prototype behind that is
Yes.
clear and defined and is working.
I'm pretty sure that we've worked together with some, and often when the process is in parallel, they can call us up and how does this work in detail? How does that? And that makes for a smoother process.
Yep. Everybody's happier. So I think that's it for today. Do everything at the same time. You will make everybody happier. Your patent will be better. Everything is awesome.
And as the last thing, dare take your time with this. There is no rush, even though it seems like you need to do it quickly with protection. Keep it quiet. If you're scared. We also feel like you need to share your idea and talk about it, but then talk about it with people that you can trust, like us.
Or don't explain all the details. Just
Yes.
enough to see that if there is a demand, enough to see if it is an interesting idea before going to major investment, but nothing about how to actually do it.
Yes.
Again, we're encouraging you to protect the how, not the what. So I will leave a bunch of links in this episode.
Again, for legal advice, go to a patent lawyer. We are not patent lawyers, we just happen to see a lot of people with patents. And we see things that we would like to improve in this world.
Yep. See, if you can have any questions or comments, leave us a message in the social networks. We will see each other next week.